Welcome back to Finding Your Frequency. I'm Brian Sexton, joined today by Mark Asselin from Performance Electrical Contracting. Mark, how are you?
Good. Nice to meet you, Brian.
How's business?
Business has been good.
There's a lot going on in North Florida, isn't there?
There's North Florida. Even, I've been seeing a lot of work in the Wildwood, Central Florida, I think is growing, exponentially behind the villages. And, that whole Ocala, Leesburg, is just huge.
Well, you said Wildwood, right? So you're talking about up by Yulee.
No. That's Wildlight. But North
okay.
Florida is booming, but we've been seeing more growth towards the midsection of Florida. It's just been exploding.
What's keeping you busiest these days?
Right now, we specialize in multifamily apartments, hospitality, hotels, commercial work, custom homes, stuff like that. So we're kind of working off of, and these jobs last 20, 24 months sometimes. So we're kind of, rolling into multiple years with some of our projects. So we're still signing new contracts this year. We have, I think, about $1 million in commercial work that we've just signed, and we're looking at, a bunch of new jobs in the North Florida, midsection of Florida area.
Right.
So.
Tell me about your journey from starting as an electrician, $6 an hour, is that what you said?
Yeah.
To multi-million-dollar business owner.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you get there?
I started in the trade probably, I graduated high school in '89.
Okay.
I was going to school for industrial electricity, but at the same time played guitar and wanted to be a rock star. I lived.
Don't we all?
I lived in Maine. I'm from New England.
Okay.
And I lived in Maine and wanted to pursue music. So my dad was like, "Well, just learn a trade."
Yeah.
And I like to make things work, and I was interested in electricity at the time. I just didn't know how to make it happen. I was 23 and I wanted to make a change. So I moved to Atlanta and then went to school in Atlanta for music. Ended up working as an electrician down there at the same time. And one of the guys that I was playing in the band with is from Jacksonville. His band got signed to a label, and they asked me to come go on the road with them and be their roadie and backup guitar player or whatnot, bus driver, whatever. Okay, so
Lead singer of the band, driver of the Winnebago.
Yeah, 25, I was, out on the road, touring. And
living the life.
It was pretty interesting, I'll say that. And ended up, the girl I was seeing at the time, she ended up, pregnant. And so I got off the road and started working, go back to electrical work. So I'm making at that time, probably $7.50 an hour. And then.
You're working hard?
Yeah, just put my head down, started doing wiring houses, and that was back in 98, 99.
Yeah.
And then I helped another guy start a company in about 2000, and then my partner now started in the trade, and he started under me as a helper. And we worked together for, now it's 20-something years, 22, 23 years. Fast forward, 10, 15 years, we ended up leaving that company and going to another company and learning some big lessons. The first company we were at was, we learned that you can do something with anything.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have any money to buy material. Checks were bouncing. So we learned a lot of lessons on that end. Pay your bills.
Yeah, right.
Do something. You can do it with what you got.
Yeah,
you
that's
don't
a good
need
point,
specific
though.
stuff.
Right.
So we moved to another company that was highly successful, multi-million-dollar company, and we learned that you got to treat your people right because there was major turnaround, and we ended up taking a job. The whole time, let me go back. The whole time I wanted to start a company. And my only goal was to get my master's license by the time I turned 40.
Okay.
So by the time I turned 40, I was applying for my master's, and I was studying for it, and I eventually got my license when I was 41. And started going through the process of qualifying a company and what I had to do and everything. And the company I was at was like, well, we need to discuss your future here if you're going to pursue this. So they ended up bringing me inside, project management, and gave me more responsibility, and then more money. It just kept happening over and over and over again. And then eventually I went ahead with On Sun Biz, started the company, got it set up, got my policies sitting in the wings, just whatever, had it there. I accomplished my goal. I was happy with that. And I got a phone call out of the blue from a guy I met 3 years prior that they were looking for somebody to do some sub work for him, and I said I'd do it. And we priced it super low. It was like crazy low. I mean, really low, like scary low. But we ended up doing it and working 24 hours a day, and that was back in 2013, 14, and then it turned into now where we grossed well over 10 million last year, and so pretty.
If we take you back to your 25-year-old self, do you see this?
No. No idea. No, never expected to even get to this point.
Right.
You know, I never expected to have employees. I never expected to have, you know, a company that, you know, had something to show for it. You know, I just like to make things work. I mean, I like driving around town and saying I did that or I
Yeah.
did this, and you know, I had a part in that. You know, and it's a feeling of pride, and you know, and it helps with my anxiety and my ADHD, I guess, to get something done and be productive. You know.
What sets you apart? What do you guys do better than anyone else?
I think we build relationships. I think we're very good at we're fair. I think we have a fair price. I think our numbers are fair, and people appreciate that. You know, I think we have great technicians. I think we have great employees. Most of the employees we work with, we've worked together for the past 20 years.
Okay.
Combined experience well over 100 years.
Yeah, that speaks to your relationship building when you have people that are working for you.
We're not hard to work with,
Yeah.
and I think, you know, and we take responsibility for our actions. If something happens, you know, we're there to fix it and do what we have to do to make it right.
Listen, with Google, people can find you no matter what.
Yeah.
But for our show notes, where do people find you?
Our website is www.pecjax.com.
pecjax.com.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the show notes. Okay,
Cool.
Now my questions for frequency.
All right.
Everyone has a defining moment. Maybe you've already given me yours, but what would you say the defining moment in your life is, where you turn your attention towards where you're going?
My defining moment, I guess, was, and without knowing, would be when I found out I was going to have a kid, when I was going to have a daughter, and I didn't know, you know, there's no how-to book,
Yeah.
you know, on how to
You're right
be a
about
dad,
that.
you know, so it really kind of gave me a direction, and that was a defining moment for me.
You don't build a business as successful and as big as the one that you have without having to overcome some mountain, some obstacle.
Yeah.
What was yours in this process?
For 10 years, everything was great. You know, well, not 10, maybe 8 years, everything was great. COVID hit. At the end of 20, we signed 4 big jobs, probably $12 million in work, right in August, September of 2020, and everything was looking fine. You know, we estimated these jobs at commodity pricing that hasn't changed in I don't know how many years. The only thing that changed really was copper, and wire was up and down all the time. But plastics, metals, everything was pretty consistent, and we could make money off of what we were estimating.
Yeah.
We signed these contracts, and then, you know, right away, COVID didn't really affect us. It wasn't until the end of 21 when we were in December of 21, just about to, I think we almost closed the doors. I think I had payroll to do. We didn't have any money for payroll, so I had to pull money out of my savings that I was supposed to use to build my house to put in the company to keep everybody
you alive.
going. At the same time, we applied for the EIDL credit, our loan from the SBA, COVID relief program, and we ended up getting the $2 million relief program, which ended up burning through in 8 months to finish 2 jobs in Gainesville, just due to the price increase of, I mean, plastic was, I don't know, it went from like 4-inch PVC pipe went from $1.12 a foot to $10 a foot, and we had thousands and thousands of feet of pipe. So I mean, anything went, I mean, wire, Romex, everything was up super high, and that pretty much, that really played a number on me, you know, mentally, physically. You know, it really, you know, put me down. Yeah. And come 23, we turned it around and we came out of the hole. 24, we were up on our feet again. So that's been the biggest obstacle we've had to chase.
Piece of advice for people who are chasing their own dreams?
Do it. Work
Just go do
hard,
it.
put your head down, take chance, take risk. You know, if you don't take risk, you're not going to win. And, you know, and I've never been a very risk taker. I've been a very conservative, you know, calculated, well, not safe if it's got to be safe. But,
Right.
you know, we stepped out and I was signing $2 million deals without a blink of an eye with that say paid when paid, or you shall. You know, everything is pretty much pointed against you. So you're really, you know, you're kind of hoping that these people are going to help you and take care of you. They're not going to screw you over or anything. But
it's all on you.
You know, take the risk.
Take
you
the
know,
risk.
if you feel like you want to do it, do it.
Great advice. Yeah. Mark, thanks so much.
Thanks, Brian.
Performance Electrical. We'll tell you where to find them. And thank you for joining us on Finding Your Frequency. We'll see you next week.